In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls? Start saving thousands in interest and fees and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Listen, folks, I'm here to tell you our political system is broken. The two-party system is dead. They have become one and the same.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
This is always the killer, the one that just destroys that never Trump argument. Hillary Clinton will fill the Supreme Court with liberals. She'll also appoint federal judges with a liberal bent to them.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Don't let anybody tell you that it's corporations and businesses that create jobs.
Arrogant, sanctimonious, self-righteous, sabotaging Trump.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say, because a lot of times they say, no, the lower 25% they can't afford. I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now. The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side. ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said.
What realized is that the Bill Kristols of the world, the never Trump people, they were just never serious. They never had any kind of ground game. They never had an actual candidate they could pick.
And in a surprising and disturbing move today, the Libertarian vice presidential candidate just agreed that rifles are weapons of mass destruction and people on the terror watch list should not be allowed to purchase guns. So in other words, the party of freedom is liberty for me, but not for thee. Go figure.
Compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree.
All right, folks. Well, happy Friday evening. That's right. We've made it. It's Friday. It's finally the weekend. Can we get a hallelujah? Can I get an amen? All right. Speaking of Friday, I do have with me my regular recurring guest co-host on Friday evenings, Mr. Dan the Man. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing, Rick?
I am doing all right. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
The news cycle just keeps exploding. I'm just saying.
It's you know, I did my the other show I do on Wednesday, and it actually feels like Wednesday was like 7 days ago. That's how it feels.
I know, right?
I feel like the show I did Wednesday was my show last week.
Well, no, it's not Wednesday, and I'm not your producer / co-host over there, so yeah.
I know, but that's what but you know what I'm saying. It's like It's every day. I've never seen an election with so much news. I mean, usually it's just this candidate said this candidate said this. Okay, it's amazing and horrifying at the same time.
You know, the scary thing, though, is for at least once, I have to give Trump at least a little bit of props, because at least while Hillary's kind of phoning in over the whole Louisiana situation, and Obama's still off playing golf, at least he's actually out doing something about it. I thought it was kind of interesting that the media was like calling him basically an opportunistic so-and-so for doing it, but at least he's doing something. And I don't get to say positive things about Trump that often, so...
And that's, you know what? He was opportunistic. That's what you're supposed to be when you're running for president. You know, I mean, it's the first time. I mean, literally, I think it's the first time that I've seen him do something that resembles running a campaign.
I know.
At least since he got the nomination. I mean, I'm not going to say he was opportunistic. Hey, he jumped on it. He was smart to jump on it. I saw him out there grabbing the little things with juice boxes and pretending he was unloading the truck. I mean, that's what you do when you're running for president. He did what he was supposed to do for the first time, but then he goes on Twitter and shoots off his mouth and he blows it all.
I haven't seen the Twitter exchange. I just thought it was
he went on and he thinks the Twitter thing works for him, but it doesn't, because he does that. Then he goes on and he gloats about it on Twitter. And it's not like, you know, let your campaign handle it. Let them put on an ad. Let them come out and say something. Don't go on Twitter and go, you know, hashtag Hillary and say, what's Hillary doing? Sleeping, you know, while I'm unloading a truck. You know, stay off of Twitter, dummy. You know, and I'm really not trying to give him advice, because I really...
He doesn't take advice anyway, so you can give him all you want.
I just, every time something happens in his favor, he turns around and hops on Twitter or hops on Fox and blows it, and just completely blows it, which is exactly what we knew he would do June 16th, 2015.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we haven't been predicting this for forever. I just thought it was kind of interesting that he finally does something that at least appears somewhat altruistic on the same day that Manafort resigned. Right,
yeah, that's another thing, is the Manafort thing. The people running his campaign now aren't any better than Manafort. I mean, they may even be worse. You know, it's like going from a Russian shill to an alt-right shill running the campaign. So we'll see what happens.
Speaking of Russian shill, he hasn't retired, folks. He's been called home. Just kidding, but it sounded funny in my head. Okay, so anyway. I don't understand how we got here. I mean,
I kind of do. I mean, I get it. I mean, I get the whole disenfranchised American thing, but then I look at, you know, it was actually a Fox special that Bret Baier did on the people, you know, it was basically about the people voting for Trump. And I think probably 60 or 70% of the people he talked to were people that said No, I never voted before. Really? So we're here because in the last 2 elections, you didn't even vote when we were trying to keep Obama out, but now you're pissed off about how things are after 8 years of Obama. So now you're going to decide you're going to be some kind of informed voter. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I told you what happened to me, right? Because, I used to end every show when I first started this thing that it was, and I've said pretty much the same thing for almost the first 3 years it was running. It's time to put down the remote, time to get off the couch, and time to find a way to get involved. I actually had Trump supporters using that against me, which proves to me at some point they were listening to my show. So I have to take some responsibility for this mess, apparently.
Yeah, but no, you know what? You were saying that well before this point. I mean, you can't hold yourself responsible for it. You were right. You were right because you watched the last 2 elections, and people didn't get up. People stayed complacent, and now they're complaining. But they didn't get up and they didn't put the remote down. They just decided to vote. That's the problem. They didn't. They sat down there and they listened to on Fox News like Sean Hannity, or listened to Sean Hannity on the radio, and they're all a bunch of fear mongers, And it's if you don't vote for Trump, you're going to lose everything. That's how they act. You're going to lose your Second Amendment rights. You're going to lose this. Ted Cruz is maybe the most conservative politician in the United States right now, and Trump supporters call him a liberal.
Well, apparently Trump supporters wouldn't recognize a liberal if they voted for one, because they already did.
Right, exactly. And they don't understand how, the whole, what has the Senate done to us since we gave it back to them 2 years ago? Done for us since we gave it back to them 2 years ago. Well, to be honest with you, it's a lot of people that don't understand how government works. They slowed Obama down big time. They really slowed him down. It's not okay, we elected you, boom, a month later, you better be reversing everything Obama has ever done. It doesn't work that way. Government takes time. It's a quagmire. You can't just, I really don't hold it against the Republicans in the Senate. They slowed him down. They blocked a lot of stuff. They didn't get stuff passed, but the president has veto power. People don't understand how it works. They expected, oh my God, we've got the Senate now. It's going away. Everything's going away. We don't have to worry about it anymore. It doesn't work that way. And now they all want to get all those Republicans out of there. Well, by doing that, all you're going to do is give Hillary all the power she ever wanted. But all of them tell me I'm a quote-unquote cuck. So that's where we're at.
And you're exactly right, though. I mean, we got here in a lot of ways because we started listening to people that were pretending to be conservative for profit. And
we did. You're right.
So I have to back something.
But those people are still more conservative than the Democrats that are going to end up in the Senate.
This is true. So I have to back something up. Did you just say that Washington was a quagmire?
Yes.
Yeah, my soundboard is not cooperating with me today. Go figure.
All right.
Wrong quagmire, but hey. All right, so
it doesn't matter. I know exactly where you were going, and it is. I mean, it's not. People don't understand that it's a slow process in government. 2 years does not turn government around.
And that's the thing, though. It's not designed to be a fast process. The Constitution specifically outlines the government the way that it works now to make sure that we're not completely overrun by populist opinion and that they basically topple everything that's taken all this time to get put into place and all of the blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice. And that's part of what this new crowd of folks don't seem to understand. Because what nobody really seems to understand at this point is this new nationalist populist movement that's afoot. There's really not much difference between populism and socialism. There's just not. Except,
no, there isn't.
Except one sounds sexy.
You've got right wing socialism and left wing socialism. Either way you break it down, it's still socialism.
I mean, the thing about it is now, with the way the media portrays it and our education system that's been under government control now for 2 decades, socialism sounds sexier than it is. And the problem with that is now we have this new rise of populism, which is basically just the same thing coming from the other direction. And nobody realizes that we've been warning about this the whole time. I mean, we have Dr. Arrington, who does a show here on KLRN Radio, who has been on my show a time or two, and he talks about the fact that it typically takes about 2 generations to actually change the mindset of a populace. And we're actually seeing those things all taking effect right now. We've had government control over our education system for a little over 2 generations. We've had social safety nets now for a little over 2 generations that have turned into social spider webs instead of safety nets. And we're seeing all of these different things that are playing out, and we're seeing all of these minds that have been changed through all of these things, because now socialism isn't bad, because if not for socialism, we wouldn't have things like food stamps and housing assistance, etc., and people need those things. And our schools tell us that socialism isn't a bad thing. It's just a misunderstood thing. And when it's used properly, it's a good thing. And it's not. It never has been. The biggest problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money, and you at that point everybody dies.
Exactly. I mean, you know, I don't make 6 figures, but I make good money, and looking at, you know, my health insurance is terrible. And the reason my health insurance is terrible is because the health insurance companies are hoping to foot the bill for the ACA. So I have terrible health insurance. I'll just put it as a person that I know who doesn't work, has 2 kids. They're fully covered by the government. Their health insurance blows my health insurance out of the water, right? I went and looked into Obamacare. I mean, I was literally going to tell my company, okay, drop me from the health insurance because I'm now paying out of pocket for it, and I have to pay into a health savings account and all this stuff. I got a $10,000 a year deductible. I looked into Obamacare, and they literally told me I'm too rich. I live paycheck to paycheck with 4 kids, but I'm too rich to be enrolled in Obamacare unless I want to pay like $2,000 a month for it. That's where we're at, is the people that work hard and actually make money, you know, are paying for the health care for people that don't work or don't want to work. I won't say they all don't want to work. And I think there is a fine line there. I think we do have a responsibility in extreme circumstances with families or whatever. Something happens, a death of a wage earner or something, to help that family get back on their feet. But we're at the point where we're at generations on welfare. generations where it's just the way of life for that family. That's not that's not how it was supposed to be. That's socialism. That's socialism. It's generations of families that live off the government, which they call living off the government, but they're not. They're living off of the people that actually work and pay their taxes. We're supporting them. And that's how socialism works. And like I said, I get a raise every year, but I really haven't had a raise in like 6 years, because every single raise I get either goes towards taxes or towards my health care. So I haven't had a raise in 6 years. Everything else gets more expensive. My rent goes up. Groceries go up. Gas goes up. I keep making the same amount of money. So I'm getting poorer.
And sadly, it's all working by design.
Yep, it brings us all together, doesn't it? Then we're all in the same boat. We're all poor.
Pretty much. You know, there's an old saying in conservative and sorry about that. There's an old saying in conservative and capitalistic circles, a rising tide lifts all boats. Socialism is the exact opposite, because they can't figure out a way to get everybody raised up, so they do everything they can to bring everybody as close to the bottom as possible, because then everybody's equal. And I don't know if it's that way intentionally or not, but either way, that's exactly what happens.
Well, yeah, and that's why socialism leads to communism. And that's what communism is. You have an elite class, and then you have everybody else, and they're all on the same level.
The scary thing is, if you really stop and think about it, though, aren't we already kind of there?
We're getting there. I mean, I consider us at this point, especially after the last 8 years, I consider us a socialist country. We're there right now. We need to turn it around, because, you know, and there's certain things that have been passed that I think for certain states work well, like NAFTA, which I'm not a NAFTA fan, and you and I have talked about this. But certain states, like the one I live in, NAFTA works well. The problem in this country is we've lost states' rights. That the federal government pushes everything on the states, and you will do this, which makes us a socialist country. We're supposed to have limited federal government with states' rights, and everything gets pushed on the states. Now, the state I live in might have chosen NAFTA, and it might have worked for them, because it does. But NAFTA doesn't work for every state. It's hurdles. You know, so how do you... It needs to be there needs to be a check and balance in there, because, you know, NAFTA is good for Texas. NAFTA is good for North Carolina. NAFTA is good for Maryland. But NAFTA is not good for Oklahoma. You know, it's good for states that are involved in trucking and shipping and stuff like that. It's not good for farm states. It takes businesses away from farm states. The federal government has become socialist. It's taken away states' rights. That's where our problem is. The federal government should be in charge of infrastructure, military, and to a certain extent, welfare. Making sure that citizens can be helped when disaster strikes. That's federal government. Everything else should be left up to the states to do business and to govern their citizenry the way they want to. That's my feeling on it. I don't know what yours is.
No, I mean, that's basically the same thing that I've been saying now for a while. I mean, when you really get down and start talking about it, logistically speaking, when the Constitution was written, there was no such thing as a federal government. There was a general government. And it had three main purposes, most of which you pretty much just outlined right there. They were to regulate commerce between the states, defense, and general welfare. That was the job of the federal government, which at that point was the general government. We need to get back to that as much as possible, because the biggest thing that I see is we have all of these government agencies that have become completely bloated and completely overrun, and they've become monsters that have to do nothing but feed themselves. And I honestly think that's where a lot of the waste and abuse comes into play in our government. And if we would actually start trimming a lot of that stuff and start doing away with these crazy freaking grants for let's spend $300,000 to see what a shrimp does on a treadmill. Who needs to know what a shrimp does on a treadmill and why? And how come it costs $300,000? If you're going to waste that kind of money, cut me a check. I could put it to use. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. It's... The pork needs to go. I mean, it's the EPA. You know, and the EPA keeps going and going and going. It's
become the Energizer Bunny.
We're one of the biggest countries in the world, population-wise and size-wise, and we have the smallest carbon footprint. Yet we need to keep going and going and going and costing ourselves more. China has way more population, yes. Much smaller country, though. China could give a crap what they put into the environment, the atmosphere, as long as they keep growing. They could give a crap. They don't have emissions on their cars. They don't care about any of it, and yet we're supposed to bow down and keep making everything more expensive. You know, a car now in this country does nothing to the quote-unquote carbon footprint of this country. Yet, we need electric cars. Do we really? Do we? We have emission controls on our cars where our cars are literally, the tailpipe is not putting out much more than water. Do we really need electric cars? Do we need to put the entire petroleum industry out of business? Is that going to help us? I mean, it's ridiculous. The government is so bloated that everything I saw a graph today that showed everything decides to regulate. The graph showed how much more expensive it gets. If the government is paying for it and regulating it, like childcare, they showed a graph that said in the last 10 years, since the government started doing all these childcare grants for everything, that the cost of childcare has gone up in the last 6 years like 60%, which means that the people that don't get that government assistance for childcare are now paying 60% more for their childcare, because the childcare people go, oh, well, the government's paying for it. Let's raise it. We don't have to worry about it anymore. The government's paying for it. We'll just get more government money. Everything they showed, whether it be food, childcare, housing, whatever, the graph goes up. Everything that the government doesn't cover, the graph moves down. It's socialism.
No, I mean, you're exactly right. And I mean, it really, unfortunately, though, if you think about it, that type of stuff has happened for quite a while. There's a show that my wife loves to watch that comes on A&E, and it's usually on for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then it's off for a while. So half the time I wind up having to catch up on it on Netflix because I always miss it. It's called Hell on Wheels. It's actually the story of the two main railroads that started in this country that were competing with one another. And the thing about that was, because they were competing for government grants to do a lot of their work, there were actually times that they showed over and over again that they would fudge the prices because they were getting government money. This happens everywhere. Where else do you think you're going to see line items in the government budget for $50,000 for a hammer?
Right.
I mean, come on.
NASA.
$50,000 for a hammer. Do you realize that if we had one president that would actually just sit down for like the first 3 months he was in office, go through the budget line by line, and get rid of the $50,000 hammers and $30,000 toilet seats, and then go nod to one of his guys with the dark glasses on the corner and say, hey, here's $100. Go to Walmart, buy the 50 things I just crossed off this list, and come back with them, and we're good. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's, and you know, it's a lot of people say, "Oh, capitalism." Well, you know, it's not. It's honesty all the way around, and stuff like that is going to happen. But yeah, it needs to be put under control. But like the bigger things that really need to be put under control are social programs. I mean, you know, people complain about what the military costs, but if you actually look at a breakdown of where our tax money goes, the military really is not a big chunk of it. It's not. People say, "Oh, well, it takes up a huge part of that graph." Well, you know what? I want the military there. I want it there. I don't want, you know, if the military is 30%, and I don't even think it's that, 30% of the I don't want most of the other 70%. That's the problem. I want the military. If people look at it and say, well, the military is such a huge chunk, it needs to be cut. No, the military does not need to be cut. The rest of it needs to be cut. It all needs to be cut out. I'm not saying everything, but the waste needs to be cut out. The VA needs to be completely revamped. I mean, it's terrible. You know, you and I heard a story today, a veteran that both of you and I know, and how the VA screwed him up. The VA has a bunch of people running it that care more about how their facilities look and how much they're getting paid than they do about the vets. It's out of control, and there's not a candidate running right now that's going to help it. It all needs to get shaken up, and I'm hoping we've hit that point. I'm hoping this election has hit that point where we've hit the peak on what you were talking about, that 20-year peak, where it starts moving the other direction, because it has to. If it doesn't start moving the other direction, then you and I aren't even as screwed as our kids are, and definitely our grandkids are. It's gotten away from what this country was supposed to be. Completely gotten away from it. And I don't just blame the Democrats. I blame everyone.
You know, and I think that's the part that nobody wants to understand, especially from me lately, because I'll admit I used to be a pretty partisan cheerleader when I first started doing this, because I was new to it and I was buying into a lot of the hype and etc. But over the years of me doing this, since I've been able to get more and more of a look behind the curtain, I'm kind of a call it as I see it type guy anymore, and I think there's plenty of blame to go around on all sides. I used to joke when I first started noticing that things were a little bit different than I'd first envisioned, that the Democratic Party was trying to get us, you know, I'd always joked that everybody in politics wants to get us into the same place ultimately, but the Democrats were trying to do it with a bullet train, and the Republican Party was trying to do it with a handcar. And the thing with that is, it used to be fairly close to true, but as they've begun to no longer hide the fact that they've been colluding now for a while and working together behind the scenes and doing all these things that the American people, if they honestly knew half of what was going on, would be in full revolt right now. They're just not hiding it anymore. They all want the same things. They want us to be mad at each other. They want us fighting all the time. They want us as broke as possible so that we're having to work 3 jobs because then we can't pay attention to what they're doing. And even if we do pay attention to what they're doing, they've got their fingers everywhere in the media anymore. So there's not really any way to get the truth anymore unless you're starting to look for alternate sources or you're doing research on your own. But then they even find ways to mess with that. It's like you were just talking about the military spending, and I remembered a graph that when I first started doing the Finding Common Ground show, when I did it with Dave Brown instead of Bryce Robbins, he would always show a pie chart that showed that the military spending was like 57% of the budget. And I kept telling him, look at that, there's no date there. And if you start adding up those numbers, they're more than 100%. So obviously something's wrong. And it's just one of those things where even if you try to find and do your own research, you've got to be really careful where you pull your information from, or you're going to start going in the wrong direction. And I think that's what has happened to a lot of people with Trump and with the socialism that we find ourselves in and the mess that we've been in for the last 8 years, because people have finally started trying to wake up, but all they do is spend all of their time in an echo chamber, so all they hear is the things that they agree with, and they don't realize at this point neither party has our best interest at heart. And at this point, I'm willing to say that the 3 somewhat major parties that are involved in our political system right now don't have our best interest at heart.
No, you're right. And I know you and I both know people in the military, and, you know, I watch liberals complain at what's being spent on the military. Well, it's been cut a lot. And we, at this point, for 7.5 years, we do not have a permanent military spending bill. It goes quarter to quarter, and it sits there sometimes. And when it sits there, people in our military go weeks without getting paid because until a temporary budget gets passed, no money gets dropped. So we have people that are working to defend this country, and I know that people that are deployed are getting paid no matter what. I know there's provisions in there for that, but there's plenty of support here in this country. People that are career military that have to make sure they have money in their bank accounts, and they don't make a lot of money for what they do. They have to make sure they have money in their bank accounts because when that quarterly budget comes up, they have to be ready to go 3, 4, 5 weeks without pay because there's no permanent military spending bill.
Now you bring
the military. The military is not permanently funded right now. It goes quarter to quarter. People don't understand that. I listen to people complain about what the military gets paid, and I hear this all the time. Oh, yeah, it's just like welfare. Is it really? So the military is like welfare, but the boneheads at the EPA making $150,000 a year, that's not welfare. You know, it's these people will literally, any one of them will literally take a bullet for you, and they have to worry about going 4 or 5 weeks without getting paid.
You know, you bring up a lot of interesting points there, and I don't think it's anything that a lot of people take into account, because I have to admit, I've had family and friends in the military for a long time, and even I didn't realize how bad it was until some of them finally told me that since we haven't had an actual budget in forever, they don't get regular funding. And with these quarterly budgets that they keep basically playing kick the can with, all they're doing at that point is leaving these people with no money for anywhere from 4 to 12 to 6, sometimes even 16 weeks. I don't know how many. I don't know people that would go to work every day.
They're going to keep their jobs. You're talking about career military people, and some of them just lose their jobs because when the budget finally drops, somebody says, "Well, so you've been in the military for 18 or 19 years, and you need to make it to 22 to get your full retirement." But guess what? We don't have any money for you anymore. So now that you've devoted your whole life to this, you don't get your full retirement. Bye. See you later. That's what's happening right now. That is what's happening. The military gets shafted, but the EPA, the IRS, all these other government entities, they get whatever they want. The military gets shafted constantly, yet they're our first defense, and these people devote their lives to protecting the country. They are the patriots, and they get screwed. That's what's happening, and it's getting worse and worse and worse.
It boggles my mind to think about, though. I don't know anybody that is working in the private sector that would work for 16 weeks without a paycheck.
No. And the thing is then if they're living in the private sector here, most of them are living in private housing. A lot of landlords obviously say, okay, I've got a lot of military people. I understand what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But some of them, all of a sudden they're like, I can't pay my rent. And the landlord's like, well, if you can't pay your rent, you need to get out. So now they're looking for some place to live and they have no money. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how, especially this administration, has treated our military. And they don't. I just don't think they even get it. I don't think they understand that these people are working people. Not only are they working people and supporting families, they're protecting this country. And it's just like, well, no, I'm not going to sign the bill because you're not going to give me this rider. Really? Really? So the welfare people are still going to get paid, the ones that don't want to work. They're fine. But you're just going to screw our military people, and they're going to have to live on ramen noodles for the next 16 months. Or 16 weeks. It totally disgusts me what's going on right now. If you want to just live without a military, that's fine. Let's see what happens.
That's an interesting point too, because everybody complains about our military. I don't think they realize what would happen if our military actually just said, you know what, we're done. Kind of like law enforcement, because everybody always complains about law enforcement until they need them. It would be interesting to see what would happen if our law enforcement just suddenly decided to have a blue flu and be like, eh.
Well, that's funny. I mean, there was a story I saw just a few days ago. One of the big Black Lives Matters organizers got mugged. And the first thing he did was call the police. And he's one of the big, anti-police guys. But the first thing he did was call the cops. I just got mugged. Hurry, help. I'm getting mugged. Yeah, well, you're calling the guys that you say are racist and just want to kill you and don't want to help you. That's a whole other tangent we could go off on.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Speaking of tangents that we can go off on, I figure we might as well start talking about it now. We are going to, and I'll actually start giving out the new phone number starting on Monday. We're going to do a call-in show next Friday. What we're going to do is see how many of you Trump supporters want to come on and explain to us and try to convince us why we should be the ones voting for Trump.
Yeah, this is going to be fun because you and I tried it before, but we only did a day of promotion. Now we're going to do a week of promotion.
Well, no, see, we actually tried it twice. We did a week's worth or a day on the first one and a week's worth on the second one. And
yeah, you're right.
Even though I don't think you joined me for that one, I still tried to do it anyway, and nobody called in.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that when you and I did it, we got one call, and it was dead air.
Oh, no, we got a call, and it was somebody making fun of Trump using his pen name.
That was the show you did without me.
Oh, that was
we got one call, and I get it all the time on my other show. You know, we'll take calls. We've stopped. We will not take calls from blocked numbers. Your number comes up 000 000. You're not getting on the air. The end. Because there's no point. Every time we do, it's just dead air. You know, they just give us dead air. They don't want to talk. They just want to call in and be annoying.
I don't know. See, I would prefer dead air to some of the calls we took when we were doing our shows on Blog Talk, because I had this one that would repeatedly call in every Saturday morning and start talking about masturbation. I'm not even kidding.
So you did like a Howard Stern show.
No. That wasn't the point of the show. And it seemed like it was I don't know. I guess maybe they were obsessed about masturbation, because we would be on one topic, and all of a sudden we'd be like, "Hey, we've got a caller," and it's like, "I want to talk to you about how nice it feels to masturbate." I'm like, "Oh no, you're done. Bye." It's honestly one of the reasons why, even though we can take callers over here, I don't really do it that often, because I'm just like, I don't know who I'm going to be talking to, and you people scare me sometimes.
We stopped for a while, and here the last few weeks we didn't last week, but a couple weeks before, we took callers, and we've had pretty good luck with it. Other than, I think I told you about, I got into it trying to explain to a Trump supporter how the Electoral College worked, and we got into a pretty heated argument over it, where he was trying to tell me that in our system, the popular vote means more than the Electoral College, to which I said, no, you're wrong, and it doesn't matter, because at this point, Trump doesn't have the popular vote. And I tried to explain to him how it worked with state wins. And I ended up getting very vocal with the guy. My co-host didn't really calm me down, but the guy's voice got very elevated, and my voice got very elevated. We went at it, and I had a good time with it. I thought it was cool, having listened to talk radio pretty much my whole life, but we've had some pretty good success here lately with taking calls, and it's fun. So I would like, next Friday, I would like to get some calls. It would be fantastic. I think when you and I did it, I think you played the cricket sound effect an awful lot.
Yeah, we started trying to take callers, and it just kind of turned into a bunch of this. And you know, let's be clear. On next Friday, I mean, we're going to try to keep it for for Trump supporters as much as possible. But if we're talking about something at that time and you want to jump in, the phone lines will be open for pretty much anything after like the first 5 minutes of the show, because I usually do 5 minutes worth of intro stuff, and then we open up a topic, and then I'll make sure the phone lines are open. So you don't necessarily have to be a Trump supporter to call in, but it's preferred.
Hey, if you're a Hillary supporter, you want to call in, we're more than happy to take that call too.
Yeah, because I can tell
you. Or we can even do that as a separate show.
I can tell you how much she sucks just as well as...
I bet you we could get more Hillary supporters to call in than we could Trump supporters.
Probably.
Having some liberal friends, they're very willing to debate. I have a much easier time, it seems, debating with liberals than I do with quote unquote conservatives. I have people on Twitter that are liberals that follow me and I follow them, and we have great debates. I love it. I have fun. I don't have fun with Trump supporters. It's just nothing but ad hominem. That's all it is. Because you give them facts and they don't listen. Most liberals will listen to your facts. They may dispute them, but they'll listen to them and they'll come back with a decent dispute. Trump supporters just say, cuck. And that's where it goes from there. So I would like some real debate next week. Let's see if they can call in debate for real. I have an account that literally every morning, there's been a timeline going on for like 2 weeks. Every morning, I get a tweet from her that just says cuck. Every morning. For 2 weeks. Every morning. It just says cuck.
Nice.
Pretty cool, huh?
I can't...
I think she likes me.
I can't say what my reply would be on the air. Well, I guess I could, because I would probably just reply back with suck my, and then that word.
And
uh-oh. You still there? You kind of sound like you're going through a tunnel.
I'm all right.
And I can still only barely hear you.
How's that?
A little better. I thought. Now I can't hear you again. I think this is your internet's way of reminding us that we're about out of time anyway. All right, so provided your connection can hold up long enough, why don't you remind folks where it is that they can interact with you should they choose to do so, because we actually blew through the entire hour and didn't take a commercial break, so we are officially out of time because we're already about 3 minutes till the top of the hour. So,
well, you can find Dan Wright, and you can find me on Twitter as Cracker at 1911G_fan. And you can also hear me Wednesday nights on HotAmericaRadio.com from 10 p.m. Eastern till midnight. And that's where you can find me.
All right, folks, and as always, you can find me here live Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern on America Off the Rails on KLNRradio.com. You can also find me on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Jen and Rick. You can also find me on Saturday mornings right here on KLNRradio.com on Finding Common Ground. Also, this show is available through syndication through AMFM247.com. Red Nation Rising Radio, the Liberty Channel, airing on AMFM247.com at 1 Eastern, and Red Nation Rising Liberty at 4 p.m. Eastern, and also available on various outlets such as iTunes, Spreaker, iHeart, SoundCloud, Stitcher, FM Player, and a few more that I never can remember. At some point I'm going to get this put down in a list and probably do it pre-recorded so I can stop messing it up. But on that note, folks, we are out. This has been the Friday edition of America Off the Rails with Rick and Dan. I'll be back with you live first thing tomorrow morning, so it'll be here before you know it. Until we see you again, take care, God bless, and thanks for taking the time to tune in. We really do love the fact that so many of you choose to listen. Whether you're listening live, podcast, it doesn't matter. Just the fact that you listen is great. You guys take care.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to the line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.